Hello and welcome to this month's Face-to-Face Conversations. Today I'm speaking with Sophie Sheinwald. Sophie is a photographer based in Brighton. She loves capturing the sparkle in people when we connect. And she's also one of the brains behind the 2020 Vision Project, which was a visual tribute to honouring healthcare workers during the pandemic in 2020. Sophie believes that images are really important to help make memories of our lives and also invite us elsewhere. And today's interview is an absolutely beautiful example of that, of the depth of imagery and where it can take us in our memories and those gifts that we only get from talking about our images. So enjoy. Sophie, welcome to Face-to-Face Conversations. Thank you so much for coming on. Please tell me about your picture.
Well, firstly, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to this space. I feel very honoured to be asked, actually. I forgot what you asked me just then, because I just wanted to thank you.
Bless you. Thank you so much. Tell us about your picture, Sophie.
Okay, so I've chosen a picture. The first photo that came to my head was a photograph of me with my dad. And I think this was 1978. So I'm going to show you it. It's 1978. So this is, it was a trip to Florida, and we went to Disneyland with my cousins, the Snowbells, who are from Canada. And we all went together and had a great time. And so this was taken outside the place that we stayed. And I remember that moment because I was asked to snuggle into my dad. And I don't normally do that because, well, I didn't normally do that because he wasn't particularly affectionate. So I was never quite sure whether he could receive the affection. But as I was given permission, I did, and I snuggled up to him.
So do you remember how you felt?
I mean, I was on holiday, and I remember that sort of feeling of being quite excited and it was I think I had a lot of things racing in my head. As a child, I was very pensive. A lot of things racing in my head.
Okay, that's really interesting. Do you remember what was going through your head?
It's quite interesting to be asked this about a photo because, you know, obviously you get taken back and you've got your own pictures in your head, haven't you? You know, the running of things. And I can't see who's taking the photo when I'm looking back at this. And I do remember it being that 110, you know, this is sort of rectangle thing. That's why I was thinking, you know, I was so much in my head that I don't think I was there. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
I was, you know, I was thinking about my dad. I can sort of recall the position and the feeling of him next to me and the surrounding. And there's sort of a swimming pool, you know, that I was probably looking forward to going into. I had my bag on me. I think I was about, actually the recall that I've got, it's quite interesting. The recall that I've got is that bag is my swimming stuff. So there's a bag that I'm holding there. And when I was first looking at it, what is my bag? Now there's a swimming pool, I have a bag. I just wanted to go swimming.
So what feelings do you have when you look at this picture? What's the first emotion you feel?
So I 6 years ago, in November, I lost my dad. And oh my God, he was an incredibly difficult man, very complex. It was an adventure every day, really. He had a very strong personality. So his, you know, he could be belligerent, he could be controlling, you know, and demanding. But this was the fun dad. This was the dad that took me to Disney World, Disney World. Hang on, Florida's Disney World or Disneyland. I can't remember which. I went there. I went to where Mickey Mouse lived. And he took me on a roller coaster. It was Space Mountain, and it was the first roller coaster I'd ever been on. And he goes, oh, no, let's get in the front, let's get in the front. And I was right in the front with him. And I believe it was single file. I think he might have even been behind me, so I was the only one in front. That's my memory of it. And I think I must have been about 7 or 8. Oh, hang on, I'm thinking, anyway, somewhere around there. It was so real to me as a child. That experience was so real. I thought my God, have we actually gone into space? You know, it was so real to me. But I was screaming all the way along, like, oh my God, I want to get off, daddy, take me, I need to stop this roller coaster. You know, so scared. And then when it finished, I was like, can we go again? So, you know, in the energy that he had on us going on all the rides and experiencing that was like, you know, the child inside of him was able to be out. And, you know, he loved to talk to children, you know, like ask them questions about you know if they were on a scooter or something like that, or you know he liked well, actually, with anybody. I realise I've taken that on. I like talking to strangers. He liked talking to strangers too. You know, he loved talking to people. So whenever we, you know, if we were in a queue, he talked to the person in front, or talked to the person behind, and yeah, he was interested in people. And so yeah, so this was the fun side. It took him away from the difficult man that he was from day to day.
Thank you for sharing that, and I'm sorry you lost your dad. Bless your heart. So I know how much connection means to you. You're a girl after my own heart. What sense of connection do you get with your father through this image?
So my father, he, if I just look at it actually, he really thought of me in an incredibly positive way. And sometimes it was really overwhelming, the love that he gave me, or how highly he thought of me. I didn't feel I deserved it. Isn't that nuts? It's like there's children craving that kind of love from their parents. And I was like, are you sure? Are you sure I deserve this? He really gave me, you know, I know he thought the world of me. And like I could do no wrong. And it's bringing up a lot of stuff, because when it got to my teens, I wasn't that great to him. I wasn't, you know, because he was difficult. I used that as a justification to act really horrible towards him when I was in my teens. So I've had to deal with that. I had to, in my late 20s and early 30s, I turned that around and made sure that we were okay. So it's been this wavy journey. I don't know if I've answered your question and gone off on a track.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I've probably forgotten.
You talking about connection?
Oh, connection. Yes.
You talking about connection?
Yes. How much does this image give you connection with your father? And it really feels like it does a lot. Actually, is there anything else?
I think it's supportive. He was this supportive. He was supportive of me emotionally. He saw my love of the arts. He saw that I used to draw all the time, and he would get me all he got me all the different drawing books. So just in case I liked fashion, or I liked drawing cartoons, or I drawing portraits, and you know, whatever it was. And so he saw, if he saw a light in you, he wanted to bring it out. He didn't do that just with me. He did that with other people as well. If he saw that person needed help, he would help. If he saw that something was wrong, he'd go. You know, he'd want to do something about it. I think that it made him feel useful. But I think it was just, yeah, he had a compulsion to help people. And he definitely liked to help me as much as he could.
So can I ask you, you mentioned a couple of minutes ago about your dad used to be really supportive of you, and it really tapped into your sense of self-worth that you didn't realize that you had. And I was wondering how much you carry your father's sense of support for you and love for you in your life, perhaps through this picture. Does that make sense? So I think it's simply asking you, how much does this image help support you with your sense of self-worth?
I think that's possibly why I chose it. It makes me feel warm towards him. I have done therapeutic stuff which has got me to look at our track, you know, together, and has allowed me to get that sort of, you know, that lovely distant viewpoint that you can go, okay, that was your life. This is our relationship. This is my part that I'm going to take responsibility for, so I can love you for who you are, that kind of thing. So I think now I can look at this photo and think, I can love you for who you are and what you've given me.
Are you talking about yourself or your father?
I'm talking about me to my dad.
Right. And what about you to you?
Ooh. Me to me. I don't know.
Because you said earlier your dad helped you with your sense of self-worth, and I was just wondering if the picture helped you remind you about how much he loved you and how much you can love yourself.
It reminds me of how much he loved me, but it reminds me also of that block that I'd had on receiving his love. That it was it was overwhelming to the degree that I rejected it. Actually, I rejected that, and that is showing where my self-worth was and where I sat with other people. And I was a very awkward, in my opinion. Other people might not have seen it, but to me, I felt awkward, I felt shy, I felt other people were better than me. I was, you know, he had a mental health, you know, challenges, and you know, his anxiety was very, 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 very strong. I think that's why I wanted to say yes to this, because I know that you are in the realm of looking at mental health from a perspective of healing and bringing things to light and moving forward. And I really love that about your work, and I really admire that about your work.
Thank you.
I feel like I have done that in my life, because you know, when you're living with somebody that has a really strong personality, and they're anxious. I mean, I used to have, my hands used to shake, my legs. If I was sat somewhere, I would be banging my foot unconsciously. So I was a nervous child, very nervous child, and my inner head was just very noisy, very, very noisy. It wasn't a nice place to be. So it's a long answer to your question, but it's that I had to take myself outside of the space with him, and I had to trust somebody in therapy to be able to lift myself out of that space, to be able to appreciate the relationship, and to go, oh my God, that's what you there was that side to you that was annoying and upsetting, but there was that side to you that was supportive and kind and generous. And as a child, I couldn't see the generosity as much because there was all this other stuff going on. I didn't know how to manage it. And that's not necessarily, my belief is that, you know, we come into this world not as an empty vessel, that we come into this world with stuff already there. So when we're interacting and we're being nurtured by our parents, that just adds to it, or takes away from it, or shadows it, or brings light to it. It does all of that. That's my belief. That's what's true to me. So I believe I chose my dad. And I believe that he has given me lessons that have been incredibly valuable.
That's just so beautiful. That's really, what an incredible description. And I love that this image gives you so much in your life, and from your, you know, marrying up where you are now with your childhood and your relationship with your father. That's just wonderful. Thank you. Sophie, how has it been talking about this image?
I feel a bit emotional. I feel that kind of like, you know, where the grief starts to sit over here. And it's not so much the grief of loss of somebody. It's more the kind of warmth and resolution of knowing that you've come through something. That's happy.
Amazing. Sophie, thank you ever so much for being my guest today. It's been a huge pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. It's been an incredible experience. Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with Sophie today. I really enjoyed it. Such a beautiful story to tell about her picture with her dad and how that image helps her remind her of her relationship with him. And I love the fact that she uses the picture to kind of take her back to a place where she perhaps didn't appreciate him as much as she wanted to, and she now does retrospectively, which I think when we're kids we do that automatically. We rebel and we push away from our family to find that stuff out about the world. And I really get the sense from Sophie that it bridges a lot for her, that she's able to look back and have a different relationship now with her father, the memories she has of her father. So such a beautiful and vulnerable interview, and I appreciate her courage very much to go to those places that are difficult. And it really demonstrates the depth of what are in images for us, and actually the enormity of what they represent, and what we can remember from our lives and what they can trigger. And there's so much depth there, so much interesting stuff, and images are so very, very valuable. So if you have a photo you'd like to talk about on face-to-face interviews, please do get in touch. I look forward to hearing from you.